Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Oh, hello. How you doing? I was just fiddling with a memory card. So, here we are Friday evening, and I am full of energy. Why, I don't know, but for some reason I seem to have tapped into an energetic vein this evening. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe all of the stuff I've been reading over the last few days and the ridiculousness of where this world is right now. I'm not even going to have time to get into Putin and Russia and how they're flying over Estonia and may have started World War III because, quite frankly, I don't feel like discussing that this evening. But it is out there. And Mr. Beaver will probably talk about that come Monday. Once we know, sorry, I'm just trying to fix that mic. Once we know exactly where we stand, because at this moment in time, I don't know where that is. I don't know what we're doing. And it's just completely bizarre. There was the incursion with Poland a few days back with drones. And today, apparently, MiG jets flew over Estonia. I don't know what to say about that. I talked to a friend of mine who works in a department that deals with this, and he's like, we're not even sure what to say about it right now. So it is what it is for the time being. Well, I'm sure we'll have more answers about what's taking place and what's going on in the near future. But before we get into that, let's thank our sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, psychictarot.ca, or is it .com? I can't remember. My apologies. And the Pepper Master, the three sponsors who have been with us since the very beginning, and we thank each and every one of them for supporting us even before we had gone to air. We didn't even have anything recorded. We just presented an idea and they signed on. So thank you. Thank you for the long-standing support as we are, well, we're well into 5 years now, and we'll be year number 6 come April. So, yeah, it's been a long-standing support from those folks, and we really do appreciate it. And anybody else who wants to come in and give us some support by either joining the channel, of course, subscribing is great. If you want to join, you can do that too. We appreciate it if you do that. That's a couple of bucks. You want to send us some money, you got our coffee page, of course. And don't forget, more than anything else, it's the and if you really want us to, if you really want to help us out and donate, just send us to the email. Send the email address. This is where you want to send the money, because e-transferring cash is the best way to do it. That way we get 100% of what you send us and nobody else gets a share. Now, I know coffee might not like that and YouTube might not like that, but hey, we have the right to raise funds in the manner that we see best for us. And because we're in Canada, we can email each other money. Okay. Now that I've got that business out of the way, should we talk about what happened this week? I mean, there's some bizarreness that took place. And then, of course, there's the bizarre, strange speeches that I saw from the president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, who this is the most thin-skinned, cowardly individual to hold an office of this nature in my lifetime, for sure. I can't say in history because I've only been around for 57 years. And there have been other leaders in the past who were probably more thin-skinned, but didn't have a global platform or access to one. This guy does. And if you say anything about him that he doesn't like, well, he, how do I put it? Overreacts? Here's an example.
George Slopadopoulos had to pay $16 million to me because of what he said.
Okay, that's not even the guy's name, but sure.
And that's ABC. You had to pay more than that. Your network had to pay more than that. So I think it's very sad. But I think that reporting has to be at least accurate to an extent. Again, when somebody is given 97% of the stories are bad about a person, that's no longer free speech. That's no longer anything. That's just cheating.
Okay, I'm just going to stop right there because I don't want to hear anymore. When 97% of the people say bad things about you, it's not even the case, but he has a vivid imagination. If 97% of the reporting public, journalists, newspapers, magazines, television programs, web channels, YouTube channels, you name it, whereas if 97% of all media was saying bad things about you, your response should be, that's not free speech. Your response should be, perhaps I should speak to a therapist because maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I should consult with the American people. Maybe I should consult with Congress. Maybe I should get myself to a therapist right away. But no, that will never happen with him because he's a narcissist. He's a psychopath. He's out of his goddamn mind. Where do you start and end with this guy? It's just beyond. A thin-skinned narcissist who has his finger on the nuclear button. A 34 times convicted felon. A convicted sexual assaulter. We still don't know what are fully in the Epstein files because he won't release them. And anything that has been released, for the most part, has been redacted, which means they just draw black lines over everything. So you can't actually read them. Simply due to the fact that he knows he's in trouble if the public gets word of what's really gone on. So everything else is a distraction right now. Don't kid yourself. Jimmy Kimmel, as horrible as it is, and as terrible as it is because this man is trying to kill free speech in the United States of America. That's effectively what he's doing. And he's using the wing of government by the FCC, who threatened ABC if they didn't do something about Jimmy Kimmel, they might not allow their merger to go through. You're using the government to censor people. That is not free speech. Now, the argument can be made, well, a corporation made a decision to shit can somebody because they didn't like what he said. I'm like, but what did he say that was so offensive? Because I've read it and I've seen it. And he didn't say anything offensive about Charlie Kirk's horrible murder. Actually, he sent his condolences to the Kirk family. He said the Trump administration and their government have gone out of their way to milk the murder of Charlie Kirk to try and drum up some nationalism. This is Trump's Reichstag fire. The Reichstag fire, for those of you who might not be aware, I'll give you the Coles Notes version, if you will. It was a fire that took place. It was an arson that took place in Germany in 1933, shortly after Hitler had taken power. And it was lit by an individual who I believe was part of the Communist Party and somebody else who was a socialist. And they burnt it down. They burnt the Reichstag, which was a hall, or a government building, apologies, to send a message to the government. Well, Hitler took that as an example of silencing all of his critics by immediately censoring all of the media, ending any sort of free speech that anyone had in the country, and clamped down as quickly as possible. I'll put a link in the chat to what the Reichstag fire was all about, so you can look it up and you can do your own sort of reading and research into it as you like. I'm going to give you a link here from Wikipedia or Wikipedia. You call it what you want to call it. I'll put it in the chat. You can have a look at it. What they're doing is they're using the murder of Charlie Kirk as a means to an end. It's going to distract you from the Epstein files. And then he does things like have the FCC threaten major networks so that they can use it to their advantage to make sure that if you don't do what I tell you to do, I'm going to make sure your merger doesn't go through and that $6.2 billion, it ain't happening. So they were using their arm to strong arm corporate individuals, corporations, to doing exactly their bidding so that they could silence a man who said things that they did not agree with. That is the definition of dictatorship and fascism. It's a combination of the two, actually. It's censorship. It is the end of free speech in the United States of America. It's gone. It's done. It's finished. I mean, say goodnight. The man said it himself. When you say bad things about me, that's not free speech. You thin-skinned narcissist. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the damn kitchen. Politics is not for everybody. Clearly not for this man, because he can't take any sort of criticism whatsoever. He needs subservience and fealty. Without it, he doesn't feel like he's manly enough, I guess. I don't know. And yes, Jason, you are correct. You are correct, sir. This comment from Jason, he says, Pierre Poilievre, well, I added to Poilievre, but Pierre Poilievre will do the same if he gets in. In my opinion, it's all supported in the agenda of the IDU. I can't argue with you on that one. I don't know to what depth it goes with the IDU. I know the PBCC is involved in this too, and I'm sounding conspiratorial like some crazy person. A right-wing nut job. That's what I'm sounding like. But here's the thing. It's all tied together. To what degree, I don't know. I don't have the means to dig. I have to earn a living and take care of my dog. So I can just tell you what I read and see and hear. I don't like to get into conspiracy stuff. It's not for me. I'm not a conspiracy guy. It's entertaining to read, but I don't like to regurgitate it. And I've read a lot of conspiratorial things in the last couple of days about the murder of Charlie Kirk. And I want not to regurgitate them to you or believe them until somebody can prove any of them. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think an individual did what that individual did. I think it was a lone gunman, to be honest. I don't think there was any great conspiracy. Trump just used it to his benefit to make a martyr out of Charlie Kirk. Say he was such a sweet, good Christian man. He was none of those things. He was an asshole. He was a racist. He was a sexist. He was an asshole. He was a misogynist prick. And I'm not happy that he's dead. I'll tell you why I'm not happy that he's dead, because I can't debate him. Not that I'd ever get the chance, but the opportunity has been removed from the equation. We'll never get to talk to that guy. We'll never get to confront that little prick, because that's what he was. You notice he only debated college kids, mostly in the U.S. When he went to the U.K., he went to Cambridge and Oxford, and they handed his ass right back to them because they came in prepared. I'm not diminishing kids in the U.S. It's not what I'm saying. At all. He just debated a group of individuals in the UK who were well prepared and knew what to say and had observed him enough to know all he ever did was manipulate people. He didn't debate. He didn't want to learn. Prove me wrong. He didn't care about that. He just wanted to manipulate, to get his point across and try and ridicule you. Except you don't do that with kids from Cambridge and Oxford because they're some of the smartest human beings on planet Earth. You don't get into those schools by chance. And no, they're not charging Harvard numbers, but they have Harvard reputations. Yes, you can get to go to post-secondary education in the UK. It's not free. You do have to pay, by the way. But you have to qualify. You don't get into Cambridge by being a 50% student. You don't get into Oxford by being a 50% student. And I'm not saying that the kids that he debated in the United States were any of those things, okay? Just let's get that out of the way. It's not what I'm saying. But he can't roll with the smartest kids. You're right, PNC Bio. He simply can't. All he wanted to do was yell and manipulate, and he would change the direction of the debate. And I say that in air quotes because he didn't debate people. He wanted to manipulate people to get clips for his show. Thing was, when he wasn't controlling the medium, when he went to Oxford and when he went to Cambridge, he was not in control of that. So we saw clips of what actually took place, as opposed to the debates, again in air quotes, that he had on college campuses throughout the United States of America, where I'm sure many students did get one over on him. But because he was in control of the media in that moment, he only showed you what he wanted to. Heavily edited things that would make him look good. The man pulled numbers out of his ass, most of which were complete fallacies. And then he said racist, sexist, foul things. What happened to him was horrific, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I can't go with the trope of no one deserves that, because some people do. Putin, yeah, he deserves that. Pol Pot definitely deserves that. You'll have to look that up if you're not aware. Hitler, he took himself out, but he deserved that. Charlie Kirk didn't deserve that. Charlie Kirk deserved to have somebody verbally assault him and beat him into the dirt. Verbally. Wasn't me to do it. There's many people smarter than I. But I can confront someone, when they throw fake facts at me. Yeah, he never went to Harvard for his debate routine. Exactly, PNC Bio. One of the comments in the chat, for those of you who are listening to the audio, says, I don't remember him going to Harvard for his little debate routine either. No, and he wouldn't, because he knows he would lose. He never went to any of the Ivy League schools. Ever. Not once. Because he knows he'd lose. Because he didn't debate. He tried to manipulate. And those kids who go to those Ivy League schools, yes, many of them do come from money. Not all of them. Some of them have worked their butts off to get scholarships. Others have gone into massive amounts of debt to get into those schools, to pursue their higher education, their post-secondary education. They're smart kids who've worked damn hard their whole lives to earn this, earn the right to go to these higher institutions of learning. And they're well informed. And when you run across these kids who have an opportunity to be well informed, because they're not working 3 jobs to try and put themselves through school so they can stay on top of things, they could confront him when he spouted out his fake facts, which he did all the time. All the time. He was doing it when his life was taken from him. He was a horrible human being. And again, the way he was removed from this earth was horrific. I've seen the video. You don't want to see it. It's horrific. And it shouldn't have happened, and I wish it didn't, because like I said, we have been robbed of the opportunity to continue to shout him down. But Trump and MAGA have made hay of this and used it to their advantage to distract you from what's really going on. Where are the Epstein files? Why is the big, beautiful bill actually costing people more money? Why are the tariffs, which have generated $400 billion in revenue for the federal government, come out of the pockets of hardworking Americans? Because it is a tax on people. Even Mike Pence said that. Yes, you are correct, PNC Bio, and thank you. Because sometimes I can't sum it up as well as you do. And for those of you listening to the audio-only version of this, what one of the viewers has said and put in the chat here, he says, even rich kids are smart just because they've had amazing education the whole way through. Just because they come from money isn't the only reason that they got into Harvard. And that is correct. That is correct. And the follow-up comment is equally as good. The fact that they come from money enables them to have the education that gets them into Harvard. And yes, two very true things. And thank you for that. I appreciate it. Sometimes I can't sum up my thoughts so clearly when I get a little bit wound up. It's just how it is sometimes. There's a clip I want to show you, but I think we'll get nailed for it because it's it's a Dutch talk show host. I don't you know what I'll do? I'll share the link with you. If I show it live, we'll pretty sure we're going to get a copyright violation. So I'm just going to share it in the chat for those who want to have a look at it. And when you watch this on the replay, because if you're not joining us live right now, that's fine. I mean, it's 7 p.m. on a Friday when I started this. Normally, if we're going to do a Friday, we start a little bit earlier, but I wasn't able to, and Mr. Beaver is unfortunately unavailable. But I put a link in the chat to a little clip a Dutch talk show host put together for you, and it's a thing of beauty. It truly is a thing of beauty. I think you'll enjoy it as much as I did. And it kind of sums up who and what Trump is. But when it comes to Jimmy Kimmel, he did not say anything hurtful, harmful, or derogatory. He spoke the truth. But the thing that a lot of people have forgotten about, they're using Charlie Kirk as an excuse. Because if you saw that monologue, I'm going to see if I can bring it up for you. If you saw that monologue, I think I have a transcription of it here somewhere. I'll see if I can get it. If you saw the monologue when he sat down, when I stood up, he didn't sit down. When he opened his show with that monologue, it was the gist of the monologue was when he tore into Trump about covering up the Epstein files and continuing to cover up the Epstein files. And that's really what it's all about, because they're using Charlie Kirk as an excuse. They're going to use him as a cudgel. They already lowered the flags to half staff for a week for a non-politician private citizen who never served in the political sphere. He wasn't a soldier, but he got half staff. Now they're making a day of remembrance for him. They're going to milk his murder for all it's worth. Jimmy Kimmel spoke the truth. They didn't like that. And I got a cartoon here for you that I got to share. It's a political cartoon. I'm going to put it on the screen and I'll read it for those of you who are listening. And in this political cartoon, it has, on the left, it has a picture of Jimmy Kimmel with a red X over his face. And on the right, it has Brian Kilmeade with a heart around him in red. And it says, "Welcome to state media." And in the thought bubbles, or the speaking bubbles, as you would see in a cartoon from Jimmy Kimmel, it says, Charlie Kirk's shooter was MAGA. And Brian Kilmeade, the guy from Fox News, who actually did say this, "We should murder the homeless." Welcome to state media. Oh, Brian Kilmeade, do you know who that guy is? He's a guy on Fox, is it Fox and Friends or Fox Morning Show or something like that, who did say that, they should just murder the homeless people. He said that. He still has a job. But Jimmy Kimmel I'm going to use this phrase, and I don't like this phrase because it gets so overused, but it's true. He spoke truth to power. He told the truth. And they got so bent out of shape that they threatened a corporation to the point where if you don't make this right, in other words, if you don't do what we want you to do, your merger's not going to go through. Now Trump is threatening to pull licenses from broadcasters if they don't say what he wants them to say or say nice things about him. And I don't know if you happened to catch the Daily Show last night. I watched it this morning before I went to work and listened to it on my way to work, where Jon Stewart, in a rare occasion, was appearing on a Thursday evening. And what did he do? Well, he said we are the state-approved media for you here this evening. Spoke kindly of Trump. It was satire the whole way through. They made fun of Trump and everything. They spoke nicely about him for 35 minutes. Or 30 minutes, I guess it was. And the whole point of it was making fun of him and acting like they cared so much about their jobs that, they would just do whatever he wants them to. It's called satire, and it was brilliant. And if you get a chance to see it, you can find it on YouTube. Just go to the Daily Show on YouTube, and you can find last night's. It's about 25 minutes, I think, something like that. Hang on. There we go. And yes, you're right about that PNC buyout. They're upset about whether they're not upset about whether he told the truth or not. They're upset that he showed the God King not giving a shit about the murder, because he showed the clip, and Jon Stewart showed it, and I think Stephen Colbert showed it, where they asked Trump, how are you doing with the death of Charlie Kirk? He says, I'm doing quite well. Have you seen the new ballroom we're building here on the White House lawn where the Rose Garden used to be, where we paved it over, and we're building a $200 million, one of the most beautiful ballrooms in the world. And they've been trying to get this done for 200 years. Because, if you're mourning somebody you said was like a son to you, somebody that you cared about, you would immediately brag about the thing you're doing that's costing the American taxpayer $200 million to build something that nobody needs, that I'm sure many people don't want. Thin-skinned narcissist. Thin-skinned narcissist. Thy name is Donald J. Trump. And that's where we are today. Just a complete bizarre couple of days. I was gonna touch on some of the things that Pierre Poilievre said this week, but quite honest with you, I need to take a break from that. We were going to try and do a pubcast for you tomorrow, but unfortunately schedules just wouldn't allow for it. So maybe we can do something next Saturday for a couple hours. I'm not sure. We'll see. I don't even know if it would be a full pubcast because Mr. Beaver isn't available to make it to Ottawa for a while. But we'll figure something out. Maybe we could bring in a couple of guests for next Saturday. Maybe we could do something. Maybe Super Kyle could join us for a bit, maybe. Mere suggestion. Maybe a couple folks could join me in the pub and we could have maybe a live audience. Wouldn't that be fun? Just a thought. Mr. Beaver would join us in once he was available. Just a thought. Perhaps next Saturday. Might have to wait till the following, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. In the meantime, I will put one more link, if I can find it. Where did it go? I had a very good link here I wanted to share with you. Actually, you know what? I think I can air this because it's semi-newsworthy. I'll put this on. If I get a copyright strike, we'll have to delete it later. But I'm going to share this because it's coming from somebody who you might not expect it from. And have a look at this.
Well, it's troubling to say the least, and we all have to really take a moment and figure out how we feel about this type of thing, especially people doing what you do. It's I'm sure there's going to be some sort of collective move to respond to this, but I'm not smart enough or powerful enough to be the one to do it. But I imagine there's plenty of conversations going on to do something, because you just can't stand by and let stuff like that go on.
Stuff like?
Well, Jimmy getting his show pulled for, freedom of speech.
I mean, not the person you might expect to hear that coming from. And I'm not diminishing Jason Bateman, because I've always liked his work. I've been a fan of his for many, many years. Decades, actually. I remember when he was on Valerie. If you're old enough, you'll remember that short-lived program. But interesting to hear that coming from an individual who was not one to be necessarily outspoken politically. What Trump is doing and saying right now, again, it's all a distraction from the Epstein files, yes. Except the thing is, he's actually going to follow through with this. Like I said at the top of the show, the Reichstag fire and Charlie Kirk's murder are the same thing to Trump. He's using that as a cudgel to change everything in America. The United States of America no longer has free speech. I mean, when you have a man who literally says, when you say bad things about me, that's not free speech. What the hell? I mean, seriously. Crap. I had it queued up and it went away.
What the hell you say? SpaceX, what the hell is that? What the hell is this? What the hell? What the hell you so dramatic? What the hell you say? What the hell you say? What the hell? What the hell? Who moving the What the hell?
So I'll have to edit that later. It boils down to this. In the end, I'm gonna watch the whole thing this time. Sorry, I won't cut it off again. I'll share the whole thing, but watch this and think about what he's saying. He's serious.
George Papadopoulos had to pay $16 million to me because of what he said. And that's ABC.
Again, that's not his name, and he didn't pay anything ABC did because they settled because they didn't feel like going to court. We'll continue.
You had to pay more than that. Your network had to pay more than that. So I think it's very sad. But I think that reporting has to be at least accurate to an extent. Again, when somebody is given 97% of the stories are bad about a person, that's no longer free speech. That's no longer, that's just cheating. And they cheat. And they become really members of the Democrat National Committee. That's what they are. George Papadopoulos.
George Stephanopoulos. If you watch the clip from the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, he does a bit about how Trump says we, stop the war in Azerbaijan and Albania. It's Azerbaijan and Armenia. Albania is like very far away. I mean, this is the dumbest human being I think to ever hold an office of this nature. So I'm going to wrap it up in a minute here, but before I do so, I want to share a video that I saw the other day on the TikTok. It's about 8 minutes. If you've not seen this may be very enlightening for you. This is a brilliant piece of commentary from somebody who knows what they're talking about. So sit back and relax for the next 8 minutes. You don't have to listen to me, and I'll actually turn my camera off, so you don't even have to look at me in the corner. Just enjoy this for what it is. It helps if I actually put it on the screen, though. I find if I do that, it works better.
I wanted to jump on and add some quick gloss on recent events that might help folks who aren't plugged into the far corners of the internet make better sense of the motivations and actions of two major right-wing groups that are involved in the recent events. If you're looking at a swirl of cryptic memes and trying to reverse engineer a motive, you're going to misread this story. What looks like politics is often subculture. What looks like a manifesto is sometimes a dare wrapped in a joke, wrapped in a void. And two families on the right keep getting mashed together in coverage. There's the mainline far-right Christian nationalism, and then the Groyper scene, especially its black-pilled accelerationists. They overlap in rhetoric and enemies, but they don't want the same future, and they don't use the internet in the same way. Groypers refers to a youth-driven online far-right scene that's associated with the America First brand, which is led by Nick Fuentes. Black pill comes from incel forums and signals fatalism, so no improvement in humanity is possible, and thereby despair is rational. Acceleration in extremist context means stoking crises to hasten societal collapse. You can think of this as builders versus burners. And so for Christian nationalism in its hard right form, it's still builder energy. It insists that the nation is or should be explicitly Christian, prizes hierarchy, order, and a return to rightful social roles. But the strategy is institutional. They want to win elections, they want to pass laws, they want to staff the courts and capture the school boards and rechristen the public square. And you hear vocabulary about restoration and revival and sovereignty and virtue. And this imagined endpoint is a moral order enforced by the state. And even when their rhetoric gets apocalyptic, the plan is still state power. The Groyper world orbits a completely different sun. It's youth heavy, it's a coalition that includes a lot of streamers and online personalities, and it borrows from incel forums, gamer chat, crypto cynicism, edgelord comedy, and a lot of terminally online irony. Here's the core distinction. The black-pilled wing does not believe in reform, not of institutions, not of culture, and not of people. The black pill is the conviction that decline is irreversible. If nothing can be redeemed, then the only creative act is negation. And that's where accelerationism comes in. In this context, acceleration means pressing on every social fault line, race, gender, religion, class, until something breaks. It is not policy, it's physics. The expectation is collapse, followed by nothing. Unlike some white supremacist or apocalyptic Christian variants that at least fantasize about what comes after, mainstream black pill content rarely sketches a constructive post-collapse order. It's entropy worship. Speed the unraveling and enjoy the spectacle. A quick detour so that we don't mix wires here. Black-pilled accelerationism is not the same thing as tech bro AI accelerationism. The latter is a futurist, albeit doomy faith about speeding technological progress even at humanity's expense. Black pill is a social political fatalism that invites breakdown. Different crowds, different goals. It's also distinct from the more formal Christian nationalist project. The language sometimes rhymes, both talk about decay, but Christian nationalists think institutions can be repurposed. Black-pilled Groypers think the institutions are rot. So why the memes that look like riddles? Because the memification is the ideology. The style is the substance, or as Marshall McLuhan said, the medium is the message. The meme factory does 3 jobs at once. Number 1, it allows for recruitment at scale. So high contrast, darkly funny, and deliberately absurd images travel farther than policy papers. A kid who would never sit through a speech will swallow 100 images that say more, faster, and sneakier. Number 2, plausible deniability. Irony is a Kevlar vest. If you take it literally, they were just joking. If you miss the reference, you reveal you're out of the club. The ambiguity is the shibboleth. And desensitization, number 3. Shock is used like a gym routine. The first time you see it, you flinch. The 10th time, you smirk. By the 100th time, a position that once looked unthinkable has been normalized inside the in-group. That's why the aesthetics feel like a mashup of cartoon frogs and Wojaks and glitch art and millenarian doom and consumer culture parody. The mix says nothing matters, everything's a joke, nihilism is the punchline. So who gravitates to black pill spaces? It's often younger men who feel exiled from status games that they think they can't win, like dating, elite colleges, prestige jobs, coherent communities. It's cheap status. Attention is the currency, and it bonds people who may never meet offline. That helps explain the why behind cryptic inscriptions or symbol-laden posts around real-world incidents. From the outside, we assume conventional motives. Ideology leads to a plan, leads to an act. Inside black pill worlds, the act is also a content drop. It's performance for an audience that reads the references, a proof of membership to people you only know by handles. Decoding the references isn't about uncovering a coherent program. It's about recognizing an identity and a dare. Don't confuse the absence of a blueprint with harmlessness, however. A politics of negation can still inspire catastrophic acts because the metric isn't does it build, but does it break? This is why For the Lulz can be both a smirk and a sincerely held view that only destruction has meaning. However, not every meme holds the same ideology, so the same image can be repurposed by different factions. What matters is the cluster: fatalism, edgelord irony, collapse talk, and status seeking through shock. When analysts try to read an incident through the old left-right scripts, they're going to miss the performance layer. If the actor is steeped in black pill culture, the motive vector points as much toward in-group status and mimetic spectacle as it does toward any policy aim. That doesn't excuse anything. It just changes the explanatory frame. You're not parsing a legislative program. You're reading an attempt to turn reality into a toxic in-joke. Last piece: why the black pill is sticky. It packages three things people crave when they feel powerless: certainty, community, and a role. Certainty says the game is rigged and doomed. Community says we are the ones who get the joke. And a role says speed the ending. It is a toxic story. It's also tidy, and it's available 24/7 on your phone. The antidote is not to romanticize institutions that have failed people. It's to refuse the seduction of entropy as identity. Call the black pill what it is: a permission structure for cruelty wearing the mask of sophistication. Then do the unglamorous work of making meaning and belonging where spectacle can't compete. That is the difference in one line. Christian nationalism is a plan to rule. Black-pilled accelerationism is a plan to ruin. If you keep that polarity in mind, the memes stop looking like mysterious runes and start reading like what they are: billboards for a politics of nothing. I have a corollary essay up in the orange place on kitsch and its role in mainline right-wing Christian nationalism if you're so inclined, but otherwise I will see you soon.
That woman is way smarter than I am and has done the work. And I think she's just kind of, informed a few people. And maybe you were informed as well. I hope you were. I mean, that was my intent, was to help you learn a thing or two, That's the idea, is that's the whole point of this. I do have to show you this, though. This is the one final video clip I have for you today. And this is Trump on Air Force One yesterday. And just here we go. 1 minute and 47 seconds. Bear with me.
Ask Brendan Carr to weigh in on other late night hosts that you have.
Okay, for those of you who are listening to the audio-only version, you might not be able to hear her voice very well. The reporter asked the question, are you going to ask Brendan Carr, that's the individual who's in charge of the FCC, or the head of the FCC, to weigh in on other late-night hosts that you have said should be off the air? And we'll listen to his response. It's a little hard to hear. I apologize. I can't control the audio, but I'll see what I can do to clean it up later.
Late night host is on network television. There is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won, and easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, won everything. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, getting a license, I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It would be up to Brendan Kirk. That's something that should be talked about for licensing, too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party.
We're in the midst of a massive shift in dynamics in the media ecosystem for lots of reasons. Again, including the permission structure that President Trump's election has provided. And I would simply say we're not done yet with seeing the consequences of that shift.
Well, what does that mean when you say you're not done yet, then? I mean, will you only be pleased when none of these comedians have a show on broadcast television? Or?
No, again, it's not about any particular show or any particular person. It's just we're in the midst of a very disruptive moment right now, and I just frankly expect that we're going to continue to see changes in the media ecosystem.
So when I say free speech in the United States of America is dead and gone and buried, I'm not joking. And yes, the argument can be made, well, it's a private corporation, and if they feel somebody steps outside of the line, they can fire them. That is correct. That is true. Sorry, I'm getting music from somewhere here in my house. That is correct, though. That is true. A private corporation can say, we don't like what you said, we're going to fire you. And you can certainly do that. Except when you say, well, what he said was incredibly offensive. He didn't do that. He did nothing of the sort. He spoke the truth. You didn't like it. That's where the problem lies. That's where the end of free speech is when you have an arm of the government threatening a private corporation that if you don't do what I tell you to do, and he didn't use those exact words, he didn't. I'm paraphrasing. I'm allowed to do that. I'm an individual in Canada who's allowed to have my freedom of expression. And I'm expressing things freely. None of them are hateful. They're factual and truthful. Although I did get a kick out of American Congress people and senators saying we're going to have to arrest people and shut them down for hate speech because they don't have anything in their constitution about hate speech. I mean, come on, folks. It's an excuse to silence any naysayers. A thin-skinned narcissist who is a puppet of Vladimir Putin is doing whatever he thinks he can do because he thinks he's a king, not a president. He demands that you worship at his feet and kiss his ring. If 97% of the media were saying bad things about you, that means you should probably take a good long look in the mirror and then immediately find the first therapist that's available to say, am I as bad as they say I am? Maybe? Should I maybe have a look at doing things differently? Maybe? I don't know. What do you think, Doc? All right. I will take my leave. I was trying to find one other clip, but I can't seem to find it. I don't know where it went. It happens sometimes. You bookmark something and the bookmark gets lost in the shuffle, especially when you're trying to do a live show and pull up the bookmarks. Sometimes they just don't work. That's life. It's okay. I got some editing to do later, though. All right, folks. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate each and every one of you. We really do appreciate the efforts that you put in to join us in the mornings and in the evenings, as the case may be here, and the funds that you have sent us over the years. We really do appreciate. It keeps the show going because there are costs to operate this, as I've said many times before. So we appreciate each and every one of you for taking part and helping us out where and when you can. And I'm not going to forget to say that truth be told, I miss each and every one of you every morning. You folks helped keep me going when I was going through a really rough patch. I had a purpose every day to get up in the morning and do something. And that helped keep me going, because when you lose your purpose in this world, many people decide to exit because they have no other reason to be here. And when you just exist and have no other reason, no purpose, nobody needs you, nobody wants you, when you feel like that, it can be pretty dark. But that discussion is for my ASMR channel, which will happen at another time in another place. Maybe over the weekend when I have some free time, I'll record something and try and go live next week sometime. As my schedule is changing, my hours are still going to be the same, but I say changing in the sense that I am more accustomed and attuned to my 4 a.m. wake up, and I go to bed a little bit earlier now. I am finding more time in my day to try and get things done, and I'm getting caught up on little projects that I've let fallen by the wayside. Some due to mental health issues, others due to physical exhaustion, and ragweed season has been a killer this year. For those of you who suffer from allergies, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us, for the comments. I do appreciate every one of you. You've been a great help to me over the past year while I went through a really rough patch, and you kept me going. And the money you sent helped a great deal. You have no idea, because anyway, that's behind me now. I'm moving forward. Thanks for all your help. Thanks for your support. Thanks for the comments and the emails, the texts, the messages I get on Facebook Messenger, the messages I get on the Twitter. I know it's called X now, but I still prefer to call it Twitter. The emails that I get. Thank you, all of you. I really, really do appreciate it. You've helped me get through a rough year, and I will never forget it. And as the saying goes, don't pay it back, pay it forward. So I'm trying to do that for a few people right now, as best I can with my limited means. I'm trying to help some people, and by paying it forward. And we'll leave it at that. Some things we just don't discuss publicly. We'll leave it at that. I'm trying to pay it forward. Okay. All right. I'm gonna vamoose. I'm gonna get on out of here, and I'm gonna go lie down for a few minutes because I'm very tired. I'm just looking for my closing credit. Oh, there it is. Looking for the closing credits, and Miss Lola is asleep at my feet right here. Let's see if I said her name, and she sort of looks. I'll see if I can get the camera on her. Hang on a second here. I'll add a camera so you can see her as she sits at my feet and just come on. Oh, I know. I got another camera off here. Hang on just a sec. I gotta remove a camera before I can add a camera. Oh, come on, technology. Work for me, please. I need you to work for me. Let's see if we can get the Lola cam. There it is. There's the Lola cam. All right. Hang on. And I remember somebody said a while back she needs a bigger bed, and you'll see her here in a sec. I'm going to add that camera in. Like, oh wait, we'll switch it up and go like this, and oh no, that's the other way around. I want the other way around. What's going on here? Come on, give me Lola. Give me full screen Lola. I know what I'll do. I'll turn my camera off there. More than she could ever possibly know. All right, folks, you take care. I'm out of here. Thanks for joining. Bye.